turn now to this delightful session with Dave and his very intense water phobia, which is going to illustrate the entire EFT process, the basic recipe, and the whole thing from beginning to end, and several aspects of it. It's a great teaching tool, actually.
And actually, Dave has had this water phobia all his life, and he stated on the film he's 50 years old, so it's been around for quite a while.
Actually, in Dave's defense, what he said was, I don't really look my age, but I've had this fear for at least 50 years.
He's a delightful man. We had a lot of fun with him.
You'll enjoy his personality. But this fear he has is very, very intense. In fact, he's over 50 and he cannot swim and never has been able to swim because of it. When he gets in the water, even up to his waist, he will go to something like an 8 on a scale of 0 to 10. His heart will pound, and if he gets up this high, it's a 10. His body grows rigid. You'll hear him say that.
Yes.
And he will panic, and he will think he's going to die and drown. And I mean, it's really very, very intense.
The nice part about this tape is that, as you had mentioned, we're seeing many aspects coming up. So it's going to definitely show you the value of persistence here. You have to keep working on it and working on it. And you'll see that illustrated very well on this tape.
Very well. In fact, one reason we wanted to show you this tape was not only the fact that we took the basic recipe, the thorough version you're learning here, and we do it over and over and over again to show you exactly what goes on. But these aspects show up. Now, quite often, even with the most intense fear or phobia or traumatic memory or whatever, as we've said so many times, one round of tapping and it's just gone. Not so with Dave. And we didn't know that, of course, to begin with. We have no idea how many aspects or anything. We just start with him. And he's sitting in his chair, in this lawn chair outside the pool, and we're talking, and he gets perfectly calm, and he goes right in the water. He gets right up to his waist. He goes in further up to here, and he has absolutely zero intensity.
Until
we ask him to do this and to submerge his head, and then bingo, here come some other aspects, And if we weren't drumming into you this important concept about aspects and persistence, just to keep at it, you might say to yourself, well, okay, we're blocked here. Or this process only works just to a certain degree or something like that. No. See, this process only takes 1 minute per round. I mean, that's a very small risk to take, if you will, for what can be a lifetime of emotional freedom. That's exactly what happens here. Now, this film clip takes about an hour to watch from beginning to end. And that's because we do a lot of conversation in the beginning. We set some stages, some backgrounds. We're teaching it a bit. Adrian's behind the camera, and I tend to be talking to him most of the time, although you will hear Adrian's voice from time to time behind the camera as she has a comment or two to help along.
It's very exciting to have seen this happen, and we do feel that it's a learning tool for you, and it's going to bring a lot of enjoyment just watching it. And
even though the film takes an hour, as I mentioned, we could have, if we didn't want to put all the bells and whistles on it and explain as we go along, got right to the issue, and in 15 minutes gotten him totally beyond everything, which is what happens in this. But by the way, with the possible exception, by the way, and this is something we don't know, and it's a good teaching tool, and I do mention it at the later part of this tape. We're in very clear water here. Swimming pool is very clear water. As he tells the story, his phobia began because he lived near a river, which of course is not clear water. And his mother kept telling him, don't go in the river, for a variety of reasons. And so we did not have a way to test it in dark water. That might be, we don't know, that might be another aspect. If he gets around dark water and he has some intensity, he just needs to do this process again for the dark water. Anyway, that's probably enough of the pre-frame to all of that. So why don't we just go ahead and begin and watch this and enjoy it. You may want to see it several times to get the real good sense and feel of how this process works, but here we go. We are here at the Holiday Inn in San Rafael, California, because you, Dave, have a water phobia. Is that right?
I never knew the term of phobia, but yeah, I can...
It's an intense fear of water. As a matter of fact, from where you're sitting, you're looking at a swimming pool, are you not?
Can't take my eyes off of it.
Okay. All right. And sooner or later, given some success here, you're expected, assuming you're comfortable, to go in the pool.
Right.
Okay. Now, as you sit there and look at that pool, do you get any intensity on a scale of 0 to 10?
As you asked me previously, still no. There is no anxiety. I mean, because I guess I know that I'm here and that's a safe distance.
Yeah, okay. And one thing I want to point out here is quite often when we have an intense fear or a phobic response, usually people, when we have them talk about it, they get rather intense just talking about it. You know, the stomach knots up and then sometimes they sweat and the heart, but you don't do any of that.
No.
Okay, that's a little bit unusual, and it probably is a form of what's known as repression. By the way, I'm teaching here as I'm doing this. I'm sort of explaining to you and explaining to our audience as well, you know.
All right.
But it's a form of repression, which means typically that the fear gets so intense that you have found a way to block out your awareness of it when you talk about it, imagine it, etc.
That may be.
Okay. As you told me on the telephone recently, you could sit there and think about it and imagine it,
Right.
and not have any
Right.
emotional response that you're aware of at all.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. However, what happens when you get in that pool?
Well, I'll describe the symptoms as I do it. I don't necessarily recall right now, but fear, absolute fear that I am going to drown and die.
Okay. Now you told me on the telephone that if we were just to go into that spa over there, which is what comes up to your waist, maybe something like that, you told me on the phone on a scale of 0 to 10, you would get to what intensity? Do you remember?
Possibly a 2, but nothing significant. I wouldn't call a 2 a significant
Okay.
level.
I remember a 4 on the telephone, but that
okay.
changes from time to time. Okay. But if you were to get in this swimming pool and were to wade out into it right now, without doing any tapping or EFT or anything like that, and got up to your waist on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you expect the intensity to be?
I'd probably be an 8 when I got to my waist, and I'd be a 10 by the time I got to my shoulders.
Okay. How would you know you were an 8? Would your heart beat fast?
Yes.
Well, your heart would beat fast.
Right.
I mean, boom, 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 like that.
Right.
Or
Right.
what else would happen?
Constriction, muscle constriction.
Okay.
I would be very, and I get rigid. I have to be able to hold onto the side of the pool in order to even move in the pool,
Okay.
because I just know that I'm going to slip, go down, and not be able to come up.
Well, you don't know that necessarily. You're afraid
Right.
of that.
I am deathly afraid that that's going to happen.
Okay. And as a result, you get all this panic.
Right.
Okay. The other thing is, which is very important to know, you don't know how to swim.
Correct.
As a result of
Because
this,
of this, I've never.
yeah. So you would never even try to swim
no.
because of this.
Right.
Let's go back over time. You were telling me on the phone your view of where this came from.
Mm-hmm.
As a child, things happen. So why don't you kind of go over that, could you?
Yeah, I was raised in the Midwest on a dairy farm next to a river.
A river,
And there was a steep hill going down to the river, and from the time we could comprehend what Mom was saying, don't go near the water, the fishes will get you.
Well, your mother said that.
Right.
Okay. So that
So-
put fear in little Dave.
Absolutely. You know,
Okay.
you just didn't go behind the house without somebody there, because you're going to tumble down this hill and end up in the water. Then when you grow a year or two and you know that, that's a joke, that fishes aren't going to get you, then you're going to drown. And then I remember,
mother tells you this?
Yeah, Mom keeps
Okay.
doing this.
All right.
And probably older siblings too, but because it's the way we were all raised.
Sure. And they're trying to protect you
Correct.
in their own way. Right.
And then when I know that that's not the case, that I can walk the shore and not fall in and drown, then there was a neighbor girl, and we're reminded of her because she went swimming in the river, and it's paper mills up and down the stream, so it's a polluted river, so you're going to either get rheumatic fever or typhoid or something from being in the water.
You're
So
gonna get
you
disease.
just have to stay out of the water, or something terrible is going to happen and you're going to die.
And from that, you develop a real fear about the water.
Absolutely. Right.
Absolutely. Okay. What's interesting, and I want to get your take on this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you may or may, whatever answer you have is the right answer, okay? Because it's probably a question you haven't been asked before, okay? There are people who have grown up where their parents would say, "Don't go in the water," in a parallel way to what your parents said, that don't end up with the same kind of fear response that you have. And I'm wondering why you would have the fear response and someone else with a similar set of admonitions by their parents may not.
Well, that's interesting, because I have 3 brothers and sisters, 2 older and 1 younger, and they all swim.
Oh, and
so whether they had the phobia or not, they certainly overcame it.
Well, let me tell you, if they had the phobia, they would not swim, and you know that.
Yes.
Nobody knows that more than you do, because how do you swim when your heart is racing and
Right.
you have all that stuff going on?
Right.
Let me suggest what's going on, both for you and for our audience. For some reason, and it's probably an inherited tendency, when you think about water, you remember those admonitions, but what happens in your system is the energy system that circulates through your body gets disrupted. It basically goes zzz, like that, okay? And that's what you're feeling, and that's what EFT is based upon. You see, we're not going to do here like so many people may do in some kind of a therapeutic process, and that is talk to you about what happened a long time ago and try to get you to understand it. And not that that's not valuable and has its place, but we're going to ignore it totally. We're going to go right to where the cause is, and the cause is your energy system that goes zzz when that comes up, okay? And we're going to tap on the energy system, and we're going to balance it. And when we're done,
Great.
when we're done and you get near that water and go in it, our expectation is that you're not going to have the zzz going on, and you're going to feel fine. Let me ask you this. If you were to be in that water now, let's just say up to your waist where you thought you'd be an 8,
Right.
would it be possible for you to take your fingers and hold your nose and submerge your head under the water?
I can force myself to do that.
You could force yourself to do it.
Right.
Would you go from an 8 to a 10?
Yeah.
Is that the ultimate test as far as you're concerned about the water?
Yes, it probably would be.
Okay. Incidentally, you have that fear about this water even though you know there are no fishes in it.
Correct.
And even though you know in the shallow end you're not going to drown because
Right.
there's cement and solid stuff under you,
Right.
your emotions give you a different response.
Correct.
Better stated, your electrical system, your energy system gives you a different response, and that's what we're going to deal with. Okay, well, enough of the background. I want to get to this, okay? Are you ready for this?
Oh, I am ready.
Okay. Now here's what's going to happen. This is not going to be something where we're going to ask you to confront your fear. We're not going to say to you, Dave, there's nothing really wrong in that water. Go confront your fear, grit your teeth, clench your fists, grin and bear it, and go for it. No, you're not even going to get out of that chair until you feel totally comfortable in doing so.
Thank you.
Okay? Because if you're not totally comfortable in doing so, that means there is still more disruption in your energy system going on after doing some tapping. Then we have addressed it all, is what we're saying.
Right.
Okay? So until you are comfortable, we're not going to do it. Now what may happen is we may do this process one time all the way through, and it may take care of every conceivable piece of this whole thing. You may get in that water, you may put your head under the water, you may test it every way, you may have absolutely no phobic response whatsoever after one round. Possible. Okay? My guess is maybe that won't happen, because you probably have a number of aspects, a number of traumatic memories that happened around water and so on, and we may not be able to get them all with one round. So we're just going to keep doing this process for your benefit and for the education of those watching until we get to a point where we've gotten it all through the different rounds. Okay?
Can I explain one of those?
Yeah, please do.
I must have been about 13 or 14, and I was at a teenage group camp at Lake Michigan. And apparently some of the others knew that I was afraid of water. And so they decided they weren't going to have me, as you said, face my fear. They were going to throw it on me. So we were out at least...
You mean they were going to have you face your fear?
Yeah, well, in a barbaric way.
Yeah, I want to interrupt you 1 second. At the moment, as you're talking about that, I'm noticing a little difference in your breathing. Do you feeling a little tense about it?
I noticed a change in my voice, yeah. So,
yeah, okay. On a scale of 0 to 10, how intense are you now about it, would you say, that you notice?
Now that I'm relating this, probably at a 3.
You're about a 3, okay. All right, go ahead.
So we must have been in water up to probably my waist. Couldn't have been much deeper than that. So anyway, 3 or 4 of them, they dunked me. And my eyes are open, and it's the first time I've been totally submerged in water. And I know that I'm sitting on the sandy bottom of the lake. And how I got from there to the next step, I don't know. But I was frightfully swimming for the surface. I mean, just absolutely frantic.
As you say that right now, are you still a 3?
Yes. I'm
Still a 3, okay, go ahead.
And finally, I don't know how much later, probably a couple seconds, it seemed like hours to me, I opened my eyes and I was standing in water up to here, and I was thinking I was going to die because I was going to drown and I couldn't get my way to the surface.
Okay. You're still a 3?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't go above...
I'm probably more than a 3.
Okay, best guess.
5.
A 5. And by the way, 10 is where you're up to here in water and you're intense and
Right.
heart's pounding and you're going to think you're going to die.
Right.
Okay. All right. So you're about a 5 now on
Right.
that. Okay. So you can get yourself intense thinking about it.
Yes.
All right, but you tend not to. So you kind of got beyond any repression that was there for the moment.
Right.
Okay. How do you feel now? Are you at 0 now or still a 5?
No, I'm about a 4.
You're about a 4. Okay, well here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the EFT process with you right now. I'm going to walk you through it.
Okay.
And all you need to do is just do what I do, or do what I ask you to do.
All right.
And we'll go from there, okay? So what I want you to do, first of all, I'm going to kind of find this sore spot. It's called a sore spot. It's right about over here. I'm going to dig in here for a second, okay? And I'm going to find a spot that's going to be really sore, and you tell me when I get to it, okay?
Okay. It's right there.
Right there. Okay, I want you to find it with your own fingertips. Okay, probably with you're right-handed, are you not?
Yes.
All right, and I want you to rub that so it's some discomfort, but don't really hurt yourself, just some discomfort. And I want you to say these words, whether or not you believe them, but say them emphatically.
Okay.
Even though I have this fear of water, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I have this fear of water, I deeply and completely accept myself.
2 more times. Even though I have this fear of water.
Even though I have this fear of water, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Once more.
Even though I have this fear of water, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay, now follow me with the tapping, okay? Tap the beginning of one of your eyebrows, right about there, and say fear of water.
Fear of water.
Over here. Fear of
Fear
water.
of water.
Under your eye, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Here, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Chin, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Okay, now on this collarbone point, which is right about, okay, let's get away from the microphone, right about there, okay? Go on that side. Say fear of water.
Fear of water.
The place under your arm, you know where that is, do you? Yeah, under your arm, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Okay, now on the outside of your thumb, right there, next to the nail bed. There you go.
Fear of water.
Fear of water. Index finger, same place. Fear of water.
Fear of water.
Middle finger.
Fear of water.
Little finger.
Fear of water.
Okay, now we call this the karate chop point.
Yeah? How are you doing that?
Well, yeah, how do you want to do it? Okay, karate chop point. Okay,
Fear
now I
of
want you to
water.
tap on a place on the back of your hand, make a fist right there. Between those 2 knuckles and back about a half an inch, that's called the gamut point. I want you to
Okay.
tap right there like that. And then look at me as you do that, okay? I want you to close your eyes and open your eyes. Leave your head steady, but look hard down right, hard down left. Okay, now follow my finger. Look, go around in a circle. Okay, other direction. Okay, now I want you to hum Happy Birthday. That's to get your right brain involved. Now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gets your left brain involved. And then again, hum. Okay. Okay, now I want you to go back to your eyebrow again and say fear of water.
Fear of water.
And then the side of your eye, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Under your eye,
Fear of water.
under your nose.
Fear of water.
Okay, it's a little louder. Under your chin.
Fear of water.
Okay, collarbone point. That's right about there, Dave. Here, let me, right there, okay? Okay, under your arm, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Okay. Thumb, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Okay, index finger,
Fear of water.
middle finger,
Fear of water.
okay, little finger,
Fear of water.
and then the karate chop point. That's all right, fear of water.
Fear of water.
Okay, now what I'd like to do right now, we've done 1 round of EFT, okay? And what I'd like to do now is have you look out at the water, and then I would like to have you tell me again, and I want you to go right to the most intense part of the story you told me a minute ago where you got to a 5. Go ahead and tell me that story again. What was happening? You were at the bottom of the lake? What was it?
I was dunked by
You were
these
dunked.
teenagers and pictured myself, or realized myself, sitting on the bottom of the shore, and then was fighting to get to the surface, thinking that I was totally submerged.
Okay, are you a 5 now, a 3,
Maybe a 2.
maybe a 2? All right, go ahead.
And finally opened my eyes after frantically trying to get to the surface and realized that I was only up to my waist in water. That I was safe, that I was fine.
Okay. Did you think about it as you told that vignette? Did you go above a 2?
I may have, but I was certainly a long way from a 5
You
far
noticed the
from-
difference.
Yes.
Okay, but I'm still noticing a difference in your breathing. You know, and your voice changed a little bit. You know, I noticed that. Okay, and you know that you're not 0 yet.
Right.
So we're going to go to another round.
Okay.
Okay. So what I want you to do is rub this sore spot. Find that sore spot again. And this time we're going to say the same thing we said before. By the way, is that bothersome to the microphone? Was he doing that?
Better on the other side.
Yeah. Could you do the other side maybe so it doesn't? Can you find it? Did you find the sore spot?
Right there.
Okay. Go ahead. These words are a little bit different for subsequent rounds. Okay. Even